After 6 years and 4 restarts, I finally completed Breath of the Wild. Why did it take me so long? Considered by many to be one of the greatest video games ever made, yet I continue to abandon my playthroughs time after time. Inspired by my son's playthrough and the release of Tears of the Kingdom, I ventured forth once more into the kingdom of Hyrule. Only this time, something clicked. I figured it out, and I saved Hyrule. Welcome to completion number 21 of the Potato Backlog Project. Stick around to the end of the video for the prestigious, world-renowned, ever-important Tater Raider. Let's talk about The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild released in early 2017 as the final Nintendo offering on the Wii U and was simultaneously the big launch title for the Nintendo Switch. This is not your father's Legend of Zelda. Although it scored very high and won many Game of the Year awards, this game is not for everyone. It changes many of the things we thought make a Zelda game a Zelda game. Dungeons, acquiring items to advance to the next part of the game, traveling between alternate worlds. Everything is rethought here and reshuffled into a massive new offering of content. This is Hyrule, but the freedom given here in how we experience and explore this Hyrule is unlike anything that's come before it. I think my abandonment of the game came from my unwillingness to accept that they had changed up the formula from games past. I was stubborn and looking for my standard dungeons. I felt lost when I was essentially given all the key items I would need via the Sheikah slate within the first couple hours. I then realized there's like 13 other Zelda games that essentially follow the same old formula. If I wanted to play that game, I could go back and play that game. It was about time I gave this game a fair shake and stop looking for things that weren't there. I let it come to me instead of forcing it to be something that it's not. The game catches you up with what's happened story-wise and what is currently happening pretty quickly. The first plateau you start on works like a tutorial essentially, arming you with everything you need before giving you a glider and cutting you loose upon the rest of the world. There is very little hand-holding in Breath of the Wild. You learn by playing and you discover by trying. Exploration and experimentation are the focus here. There are a lot of real-world elements implemented into the engine, physics-based and otherwise. It really felt more like common sense and thinking for a little bit helped me solve things, rather than having to figure out specific game tricks or running into something I would have to come back to later when I found the right item to allow me to solve the issue. From a deep cooking system to many different upgradable armor sets, a battle system that includes perfect parries and dodges, critical strikes, all the way to taming wild horses for a new battle and travel companion. There are just far too many things that I like packed into this game for me to cover in my normal format. And almost everything worked really well for me here this go around, except for one thing. The main reason I feel like I gave up and abandoned my other playthroughs. I know it's not the weapons having durability and breaking. I don't mind that at all in this game actually. I think the weapon system and inventory management works really well for the most part. I'm talking about how they implemented stamina and the climbing mechanic. Stamina is a second meter outside your heart containers that is also upgradable throughout the game. It's tied to sprinting, floating, swimming, climbing. The balance of how much stamina is used for what is what bogs this game down, and it wears the player down. It's counterintuitive to what they put in front of you and the main asks of the game. The game says here's a massive world to explore, experiment, have fun with, but we're gonna make it so you feel bogged down, weighed down by implementing this stamina system and its limitations. This needed to be balanced better in my opinion to avoid player fatigue and annoyance, mainly in the early game. Climbing to get places is already slow, forcing me to take the time to cook up some stamina potions, prepare for that journey, only to possibly have it rain in the middle of the climb and have me slip off the side of the mountain. It's just disheartening. Or to be halfway up a cliff in a new area and realize you don't have any food or potions to help, so you just fall off. Even sprinting. Holding the button down, letting it go. Holding the button down, letting it go. Instead of looking around at the massively beautiful world around you and just thinking about that. More freedom here to explore without that limitation, and the game would have opened up tenfold. I'm not saying let us zip around like we're Spider-Man, but for me a hook shot type item with some limitations on the Sheikah pad would have been very welcome, or just a rebalance of how much stamina is used per activity. A few more big bosses would have also been welcome here. I think that goes without saying. The 4 divine beasts kind of work like a traditional Zelda dungeon, though still not the same. They were neat and they fit into the main storyline. They're not incredible though, they're just okay. A nice thing to note is you don't have to complete them in any specific order. You also don't have to complete any of them at all to complete the game. That's the type of crazy freedom you're given in this game. If you do choose that route, the final confrontation becomes much more difficult from what I understand. Tears of the Kingdom comes out tomorrow, so I won't know for a bit if these two things have been addressed in the new game, but they would be my only real asks to improve what's offered here. I think this amount of content and freedom is extremely overwhelming for some gamers, and it won't be everyone's cup of tea. I get it. Playing this game is a marathon, not a sprint. It's an experience, a different adventure every time you boot it back up. It reimagined a classic series. It stands the test of time. It breathed new life into Hyrule in the timeless battle of good versus evil. 5 happy potato faces out of 5. It isn't perfect, but I get it now. I understand what the game is and what it's meant to be, and I'm really glad I finally played it through to the end. With that, the backlog project rolls on. Be kind to yourselves and others that deserve it. We're on to the next one. Ride my horse down to the river. The game, where am I? Where was I? Looking for Ganon. Ganon shooting an arrow up his bum. It's counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive. Ganon, Ganon, I'm riding my horse to you with my bow and arrow. The Legend of Toot, A Link to the Poop. What? No. Whoa! And my swords. This is not a potty humor channel. Maybe a stick from a tree.